Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. And thank you for joining us today on the Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Ursula O'Farrell with the Ascension Playground, and I am joined today by creator and founder Julia Balaz of galacticastrology.com. Together, Julia and I are celebrating the certification of our latest classmate, Julita Mahalski. Congratulations, Julita, for making it through.
Thank you. Thank you.
If this is your first time listening to the Galactic Ambassadors podcast, there is an online class for Quantum Soul Guidance to help bring forward practitioners to offer services globally. Today, Julita is calling in where she's based in Chicago, United States, but she's a native from Poland and will offer galactic astrology soul reading reports in both English and Polish. So exciting, Julia, to know that we're such a global and multilingual practitioner base.
Super well done, Julita. It's such an honor to see you here today, and I can't wait to hear your story and share it with the world and see how many people can resonate with your offerings. There's a niche, something unique about you, so I can't wait. Let's dive in. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're so excited, Julita, because you carry such a beautiful energy of not only goddess and life coach, but also beautiful and divine mother. And so it was fun to look at your particular website at julitamahalski.org. Julita, when I visited your website, I noticed that your background in Qigong, earthing, and this idea that you're a very highly sensitive, intuitive, and empathic soul, bringing together years of wisdom for now a very special focus, not just on readings for adults, but also for our children. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
So we usually like to ask the first question of, if you could share with us, how is it, like in your past, how is it that you journeyed to this now moment, including how did you find Julia and the Galactic Astrology program?
So there were multiple things that really led me to where I am today. But I think it's really worth mentioning my story that as a child, I was very adventurous and very loving, independent, and curious. And I had very rich inner life. And I was very empathetic and sensitive to pain and suffering of others, especially animals, children, and older people. So I grew up in Poland, in a very strict environment. And I always had this feeling that I couldn't express myself and that I am not understood for who I am. So that actually eventually led me to completely disconnect from myself. Especially, I felt the result of this when I was in my 20s. I decided to move to United States and just live my normal life. I always had this feeling that there's something more into life, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I really experienced the first awakening after I had my daughter. All of a sudden, I just felt this urge to know more about myself. I began to question my reality, my situation, and I just wanted to find deeper meaning of life. So that's how everything began. So I just started researching reading books, exchanging ideas with my friends who were actually also in this awakening process. And I felt at the moment that I had so much work to do because I felt so emotionally suppressed at the time. So I was pretty much developing my skills and healing through different modalities and different techniques. And I was really at that moment excited about all those things I was finding out. All of a sudden, things were just making sense. And I felt very hopeful and uplifted. So I felt that through this awareness and even knowing that there is something deeper into this reality, you just kind of feel better and you just heal by just knowing this. So yeah, and I went through life coaching training, and then I tried different modalities such as Reiki, sound healing, Akashic records reading, EFT, and yes, I was just going through I was just exploring different areas of life and mostly focused on spirituality. And yes, then I was healing and applying all those things into my life. So that took me probably over 10 years just to be where I'm at today. And with Julia, I found Julia through Elena Denan podcast, and I really fell in love with her work, and I wanted to find out more, so I signed up for galactic astrology course, and I don't think I've completed that course because soon after that Julia just came out with her practitioner training, and I signed up for that, and here I am.
That's so great to hear. And it's it's just so interesting for me to see how many modalities a light worker can pack into a decade in terms of studying and applying everything you learn to your own life as your own healing journey. It's almost like the blueprint for a light worker's journey, right? You struggle, then you want to take life into your own hands, and you want to heal and improve, not by relying on external circumstances or luck or some savior. You do it yourself. You learn how to understand your own body and psyche, and then through that experience you become curious about others as well, and you really the calling to help others is awakened. Do you recall when was the time when you felt like you actually see yourself helping others through their own healing journey? Was that like a thought or calling where I know I want to be helping others?
I always felt like I have some kind of mission to accomplish here, but I couldn't understand how I'm going to do it. So I think the more I was healing and growing and expanding my awareness, I felt more aligned with that mission. So yeah, it's just, I always felt that there's something more into my life than just living a normal life. So yes.
It's so interesting that you say that, always at the back of your mind, feeling like you are here to do something important. When I reviewed your astrological chart just before we connected, there are so many indicators of that mission lifetime in your chart. I would love to share some of those with the viewers. Would it be okay with you?
Yes, of course.
I was really excited about some of the things that I saw in your chart. So I'm just going to share my screen. And what I'm showing is a page from our galactic astrochart.com website. So when people go there and put in their birth details, they can get a report that looks similar as this, which shows different fixed stars alignment based on your time of birth, based on your natal chart. And it also shows you what zodiac degrees the planets were in, and also which astrological house the planets were in when you were born. So first thing I want to point out here that really excited me was your Neptune in Sagittarius in 4th house, which is the house of home, family, roots, ancestors, deep ancestors. It's conjuncting the great attractor. So this is a really mighty cosmic force that is directly influencing your higher mind, your higher intuition, your kind of divine guidance. It's a great indicator of why you maybe felt very intuitive and very in tune with the invisible side of reality. And I'll just share this beautiful visual that Ursula created for our class recently. We have added these 3 cosmic points to our galactic chart that everyone can access. So you can see this amazing spiraling motion of greater and greater cosmic power that has unfathomable magnetic force that is pulling entire galaxies towards it. So we have our Earth that is impacted by the force of the sun. The sun is impacted by the Milky Way galaxy, which has its own galactic center. We can track it at around 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Then we have the supergalactic center that is the attracting force that is pulling our galaxy and I think 30 other galaxies with it towards it. And then we have even greater force, which is pulling, I don't know how many galaxies, which is called the great attractor. And recently we started talking about the Shapley attractor, which you cannot even imagine the force of it. But what we started noticing is when we now look at the charts of different people and very influential people in the world sphere, most influential people will have Shapley attractor very significant in their chart, either conjuncting their sun or ascendant or mid-heaven. So I don't want to take over Julita's interview, but so Julita's Neptune here is conjuncting the great attractor. So it's really, really powerful force. And your Jupiter is conjuncting Nihal, and it's in 10th house in Gemini. I find Nihal star system connected to the indigo ray. There is information on that online if people just type in Nihal star seeds or indigo star seeds. We have so many indigo souls and blue ray souls. There are many different frequencies within that entire collective, but you having Jupiter conjuncting Nihal in your 10th house in Gemini, I find it quite significant that you feel called to teach, to help, to guide, to coach. And one more thing that I wanted to share here that I found interesting was your North Node in Libra in 3rd house, which means your South Node, SN, is in Aries in 9th house. So I presume you would have had many, many, many lives as a leader, as either a warrior or leader that had significant social status, or someone who was relying on their own survival skills, going through incarnation like that. And now in North Node in Libra, you're called to master relationships and be naturally very drawn to understanding people's emotions, their motivations, how they work, and how you can create, win-win situations and very healthy relationships. So there's a lot of strength and leadership coming from your past. And also your South Node in the 9th house would usually indicate many lifetimes of someone that is seeker of truth, of higher wisdom, of universal laws, understanding. So I bet there is a lot in your soul records and within your own soul memory that is full of wisdom. So I feel from anyone I've met who has gone through a decade of qualifying in different courses or getting certified in different modalities, it's none of them were really meant to be their unique modality that they stay stuck with. They're just meant to recall experientially what they've done in previous lifetimes, see it as your treasure box now, and you can apply whatever is needed for an individual that is guided to you, and you'll be able to offer amazing help. So because you're now in third house, North Node, you're able to bring higher wisdom into nibble sizes for everyday people to understand greater concepts. So I thought it was all quite exciting. And here, Sirius opposing your moon, fifth house Capricorn, Sun opposing Lyra, Cancer 11th house. It's as if the influence will be with the collective and with the younger generation. So you're helping those that are a few steps behind you in a really powerful way. So really awesome chart. I love that.
Thank you. It makes so much sense.
Yay.
Beautiful.
You know, Julia, with your sharing for Julita, I'm just in awe when you start going into these records, these soul connections, that it's just your passion as not only a wisdom teacher, but your galactic researcher hat comes way out, Julia. So thank you for that. And it inspired a question that I want to ask Julita. You know, you mentioned that you've studied the Akashic records, and what Julia just shared is your soul connections, your galactic records. How was it? Do you see an overlap with Akashic records and galactic soul connection records? Julita, do you, when you started learning from Julia, did it feel familiar to you perhaps?
Yes, I think this is very aligned to what I was taught at the course that I took. It's just we use a different prayer, but it was, the idea was similar to this. And I felt like the way I received the information, it is always this inner knowing. Like I just know sometimes about a certain, I just feel like I just know the answer. I don't know how I know, but I just know the answer. And I was sometimes a little disappointed with myself that I couldn't have a vision, or I couldn't receive a thought or something like this, or I couldn't just express intuitive guidance through the writing. So I had to figure out how I received the information. And even now when I prepare charts, I just feel that there is this inner knowing what to actually put on the chart. So
there's a label for this. It's called claircognizance. There are many different clairs, clairsentience, clairaudience, audience when you're hearing from higher dimensions and so on. And claircognizance is when you have a knowing. Many people are claircognizant and they have no idea. They're expecting to hear or to see things with their third eye, and they're frustrated because it's not coming. They're looking for the answers somewhere where it's actually not their strength. But once they realize it's claircognizance, it's just a knowing. Once they accept their knowing as good enough, their intuition will skyrocket. So I hope it helps someone. It was my case too. And I literally had a QHHT session where I asked my higher self, why don't I see? Why don't I hear? I have so much understanding of all this. And they said, my dear, you have a claircognizance. You're receiving a quantum download of knowing that is packed with information. You just need to pay attention there and unpack it into linear language. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then everything shifted. So I hope it helps someone.
Yes, and for me, I feel it's really important to stay connected to my heart center. I really need to practice every day to become more centered and grounded.
Yeah, I think it's an everyday struggle of any psychic or anyone working with other realms, no matter how many years, even if it's 3 decades, 4 decades that they are doing it, they still need to make conscious effort to do what you just said there. So it doesn't come naturally. It's great that you're mentioning it.
So this has been such an inspiring conversation on the Galactic Ambassadors podcast. Thank you, Julia, for sharing Julita's chart, and Julita for giving permission. So we've really felt a sense of your journey and your origin story within the galactic astro charts. And it's fascinating to hear now where you are in present time. Now we'd love to hear about the future, like thinking about you moving forward as a certified practitioner now. Tell us a little bit about your anticipation for your future clients?
So, as you know, I offer charts for adults and children, and where I focus mostly on gifts and soul purpose. And I also include karma and soul archetype, color, and I go to galactic lineage as well. And I felt that this is a fun way and helpful tool to have for parents who are maybe struggling to know their children, or they have some kind of challenges with their children. And they can, through this chart, gain a deeper understanding of who their child is on a soul level, and what kind of beautiful gifts that child brings into the world, and focus on that. And I also felt this is something that I wished my parents had when I was growing up. That would have made a whole world difference. And also from my own experience, I feel like this helped my understanding of who my daughter is. And I gained so much clarity about her personality and her gifts. And I really realized how fixed her character is, and how much I cannot interfere with this. So that helped me really relax more, and I'm more at ease. And yes, and I just have more acceptance to who she is. And I think it's really important. And I just want to mention that with children charts, I also like to focus on their emotional intelligence. And I feel like this is a really important part of growing up, and just to knowing how to relate to their emotions. It's just very life-changing. And yes, and just the fact that you know what kind of gifts your child brings, and you kind of have idea what their purpose is, just helps you to let go all the expectations that you possibly might have. Because I see the struggle, really. There's some parents who are really still in their own ways of doing things, and I feel that children are just moved so into the future. They're just so ahead of time, and there's this gap that you just kind of feel lost for a while. You just don't know what to do, because I feel like you can't control those kids right now. There's no way. At least that's what I'm experiencing with my daughter. And I was frustrated for such a long time, because I didn't understand who she was on the soul level. So that really brought so much clarity into my life. So it was just amazing to finding out all those amazing aspects of her soul.
Can I quickly ask about the year of her birth? I presume she's the generation of Pluto in Capricorn kids?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Same for my daughter, same story. And it transformed our relationship when I copped on exactly what you're saying there. It's invaluable for parents to receive this kind of education and deep understanding of how they're wired and why they're wired this way. They're literally meant to reject the old system, the old psyche that was heavily conditioned on the system that is making us all miserable. And they, at some point in their adulthood, when they become activated into their divine soul mission on earth, they will create a whole new system that will be aligned with harmony for all. So
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter is a perfect example of this, of child like this. And she's also Aquarius in her sun, moon. She has North Node in Aquarius. It's just like, she's a powerhouse. I cannot control that child. And I just had to let go of all the expectations I have and just relax. That's all I could do, you know.
You know what's
Just,
interesting in connection with your chart, with your Neptune in 4th house in Sagittarius, and I believe you have Pluto in Libra. So I feel there is something about you actually creating powerful healing and transformation and imprints of the ancestral conditioning and pain and suffering of the controlling, parents to children. There was so much of that, as you've mentioned. You had that in your own childhood, the strict, rigid rules, expectations, and the pressure of that and suppression of your uniqueness. It's so interesting that your natal chart is literally showing us that you are helping to resolve that and understand it, integrate it, and completely transform it. So I just find it so fascinating.
yes,
We all
I
matter.
totally resonate with this. This is how I always felt about myself. And I always had, so at some point I was actually angry at everything. I just had this anger suppressed in me, but I realized that I can use this anger to transform my life, because there was this just inner anger who kind of wanted to explode and just release everything that was suppressed for so long and for generations. And this is completely aligned with my ancestors line of warriors. And yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Incredible. Yeah, that anger was my static point that my daughter triggered when she was around 2.5, 3 years old. It was growing like into a monster that I was afraid if I will be able to contain or not. And that was the time when I seeked QHHT, past life regression session, because I thought it's a past life, but it wasn't necessarily. It was my childhood and ancestral, very much similar story. And yes, yeah, we all matter. Every little transformation, shift in perspective, it's invaluable for the collective.
Yes.
I have to say, I want to take this opportunity, since you are native to Poland. I once had an experience where I went into deep meditation and I started hearing Polish voices. And first it was feminine energy coming in, just chatter of many, many females, and it was Polish language in my mind. And then the males were coming in. And this was in around this time, around the Halloween time, when I really think about ancestors, my great grandparents so much. But so I never expected that to occur. It was so spontaneous, and the energy that was coming through, these I felt were deep ancestors, like before First World War, way before that. Like there was so much joy and happiness, and they came in to tell us to not get confused by the external events and to remember our origins, our deep ancestors that are rooted in harmony with earth and in harmony with each other. There was this sense of so much love and support and joy within the feminine portion of these deep ancestors. They were singing together, dancing together, laughing together, holding each other in their moon time. And then the male ancestors, as they were coming in, they were strong and responsible and working together on things that were supporting the collective of their community. It was so touching. And then beyond that, the blue frequency of the, I believe, Pleiadians came through as another layer of my deep ancestors that were connected to my Nordic lineage. So there is so much more to our ancestors. And the point I want to bring this to is some people are so traumatized through the behavior of their parents and watching their grandparents that they feel repelled by connecting to their ancestors through their heart. I would like to bring the idea or a new perspective here that helps you realize that there is the higher self of the ancestor that is not limited or conditioned by trauma at all. There is a higher self spirit of deep ancestors that is divine, that is unconditionally loving and supporting, and it feels like they're coming back to witness our collective transformation. So I hope this will help someone to kind of jump over the hoop of traumatized ancestor that is kind of the human body, human brain of the ancestor that did all kinds of things. And I always say this prayer for them: no matter what you did or didn't do, I proclaim you worthy of my unconditional love. No matter what you did or didn't do, I proclaim you worthy of divine grace, of healing and reconnection to divine as your divine birthright, something like that. I recently started watching The Psychic in California, Tyler something, just binge watching.
Henry.
And yeah, thank you. And he has this beautiful point that I've seen so many times in sessions in QHHT when people regress to time, life between life, that once you're out of the body that is so heavily conditioned by trauma and the brain so heavily conditioned by trauma, once you're out of here, you see what you didn't see before. You understand everyone completely through and through. You will look at your loved ones that are still in the body and you will completely understand everything about them, and there'll be so much love and compassion. So I hope this will inspire people to drop the grudge and return to love and compassion.
Yes.
Peace. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. What an incredible conversation. You know, Julita and Julia, if at some point later on you wanted to come back and have a deeper dive into this idea of ancestral clearing and how to work with the galactic astro charts, the calculator, and the reports that come through, how to hold space for, let's just say, even the indigo wave of children who are now beginning to be teenagers. So there's this idea of, yes, it's highly spiritual, higher self, but we can bring it down and make it very practical to give guidance for and clarity for, this is what we're seeing. You decide how you want to navigate forward, either for yourself in love or for your family members in love. So I wanted to just shout that out, as, you know, this conversation has broader ranging ramifications, and it's all because of you, Julita, saying, yes, I want to be a certified galactic astrology soul reading practitioner. So we celebrate you, we thank you, and I'm going to do another shout out to your website, julitamahalski.org. And Julia, I'm sure will add in your information for how people can find you if they want some practical guidance for how do I help navigate my life for greater clarity, because you have a knowing sense, Julita. You say, I just know. And yet I think the greater percentage of people may be more like me. Show me the proof. Show me in the astrology and the galactic soul records are kind of this, it says so, and it's, for me, more proof for my way of like navigating, like I really want to be standing on something. So show me how it works, and then I will use my discernment to see if I believe it or not. Ladies, it's been so nice. Thank you for this time together. Any final words from either Julia or Julita?
Yeah, what is the youngest person reading that you've done that included galactic astrology or soul reading? Would you mind sharing?
So the youngest I've done, it was 12 years old so far.
And how did it go? Was it delivered to the parent or to the 12-year-old?
It was, yes, it was delivered to the parent. And yes, I received a beautiful feedback. And that was not something that the mother didn't know about that child, but it was just an amazing confirmation for her. And she felt very guided to support her child in the journey, because she said that she felt that, but now she's like 100% sure that she needs to be there for her to develop those beautiful gifts and just support her journey, no matter how she feels about it. So it was very rewarding and helpful.
That's an amazing validation to get. What a gift. And I'm sure it'll keep on giving whenever they will revisit it, right? And at some point, even the child herself will read it. I recall I wasn't focusing on a younger generation in my readings, but at one point I did a reading for an 8-year-old, and it was a soul realignment. At that point, I was not including galactic astrology in it, but it was amazing how my language shifted completely. So the parent was in the background. We did a Zoom video call, and I was able to share some of the past life stories and actually how the past lives influenced the current life. And it was quite incredible how the 8-year-old was totally getting everything I was saying. Like it was, you know, in deep resonance, and it made sense. And I made it very lighthearted. So it was, I just completely shifted to a different mode of communication, and it worked out really well. Parents were really, really pleased with the result. So with regards to the permission for anyone who would consider doing readings for younger people, my belief is that if the person, the child, is able to comprehend what the reading is about and what the intention is behind the reading, then I would definitely mention it to them and ask for permission. And I would do that probably from even 7 onwards. You can explain it in a very childlike consciousness way, what it is about. So they'll see that the intention is pure. It's for better understanding and to help them navigate their life, navigate through their life better. And if it's a very young child that cannot understand these concepts, then obviously the parental permission is what goes. But I want to highlight that the way soul records operate, my belief is that if sometimes, you know, parents is not meant to know these things for various reasons. And if that's the case, no matter how much the parent wants to know their past life karmic connections, the information will not come through. It'll be very difficult for the practitioner to tune into it, or it'll be becoming very convoluted and confusing. It'll literally feel like somebody is shoveling all the puzzle pieces so that you cannot make any sense of it, because it's not meant to be revealed yet. So that always has to be respected and honored. And we can then ask the record guides or this divine intelligence of the higher selves when will be appropriate time for this to be revealed. And they'll literally give you can check on either 10 years, 5 years, and so on. So it has to be honored and respected. And I'm sure, Julita, you're in alignment with this practice as it's described in our course. So,
yes.
awesome.
100%.
Well, what a fascinating conversation we've had today, ladies, on the Galactic Ambassadors podcast. Julia and I just want to say thank you, Julita, and congratulations. You're certified now.
Super well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Much love, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.